This is the Weekend Edition, the headlines.
Tonight, the former sports CS may need some cooling off. DPP turns the heat of the 2016 Rio Olympics scandal on him and 6 others. Also tonight, a woman in Baragoi brutally turns on her children. A 2-year-old boy slaughtered and a daughter fighting for her life in hospital. Plus,
sasa hii yenye libidi nitoke. Hii sasa ya kurepu mtoto wangu.
The case of the protectors turned tormentors in Embakasi and Kitui.
Corruption iko na mahali itendeka. Maana faili kufikia jaji.
In our special tonight, we drive along the most feared road in Kenya, where IEDs and Al-Shabaab militia lie in wait. Terror's Highway airs tonight.
NTV Weekend Edition with Olive Burrows.
It's been described as world-class graft and mismanagement that eclipsed Kenya's performance at the Rio Olympics in Brazil in 2016. Tonight, the ghost of Rio is back, and former Sports Cabinet Secretary Hassan Wario and legendary athlete Kipchoge Keino are among 7 officials caught up in the claims of misappropriation of funds meant for athletes who participated in the Olympics. Director of Public Prosecutions Nuruddin Haji says there is sufficient evidence to charge the 7 after his predecessor Keriako Tobiko sent the file back last year for further investigation. Former National Olympic Committee of Kenya Deputy Treasurer Stephen Soi was arrested early Saturday. I revisited the Rio Olympics scandal and the specific allegations against these officials.
And he has destroyed the field.
While Kenyan sports people put the country on the map for their world-beating exploits, those mandated to run sports in Kenya can comfortably win the Shame Olympics. Shameful is how the Director of Public Prosecutions Nuruddin Haji has described the actions of those who failed in their duty to safeguard the welfare of Kenya's athletes during the 2016 Rio Olympics. Top on his list is the then Cabinet Secretary for Sports Hassan Wario and the former chairman of the National Olympics Committee of Kenya, Kipchoge Keino, a 2-time Olympic gold medalist himself. Others to face charges for the misappropriation of 55 million shillings allocated to the Games are the then Sports PS Richard Ekai, Harun Komen, who was the Director of Administration at the Ministry of Sports, and former Finance Officer Patrick Nkabu. The list also includes former NOC Deputy Treasurer Stephen Soi, who was the Chief of Mission to Rio, and Treasurer Francis Kinyili Paul. The 7 will face 6 counts of abuse of office and 4 counts of willful failure to comply with the law relating to management of public funds. The charges relate to the embezzlement of 22,540,800 shillings, the purchase of air tickets not utilized amounting to 16,872,497 shillings, overpayment of allowances amounting to 15,907,500 shillings, and incurring expenditure on unauthorized persons amounting to 6,590,286 shillings. In November of 2016, bales of sports kits intended for use by Team Kenya during the 2016 Rio Olympic Games were recovered from the home of the NOC Vice Chair and Deputy Chief of Mission, Ben Ekumbo.
Kipchoge.
During the Games, Team Kenya also complained of poor accommodation, with Wesley Korir posting video and pictures of a slum where the team was put up on leaving the Olympic Village. The Sports Ministry and NOC traded blame over the debacle. Eventually, Wario disbanded NOC before he and Ekai broke ranks.
Tumekuwa tukifanya kazi pamoja all the time. Tumekuwa tukiwa na mikutano ya steering committee pamoja. Lakini sasa watu wameanza kulalamika, imekuwa sasa lawama zote zitupiwe NOC, na mimi sikubaliani kwamba NOC imekuwa ikifanya makosa yote.
If you look at the Olympic Charter, which is this little book here, it lays it out very clearly who is in charge of Olympics, National Olympic Committee.
In January 2017, the president in his New Year's speech ordered an investigation into the Rio Olympics debacle. But the then sports minister held on to his job. That is, of course, before he was reassigned to serve as Kenya's ambassador to Austria.
The Director of Public Prosecutions is reviewing the file in order to decide whether evidence exists to take further action on the top leadership of the sports ministry. We promised accountability, and someone will be held to account.
2 years after the Rio Olympics, the Auditor General in August this year raised queries amounting to 1.7 billion shillings of questionable expenditure by the Sports Ministry in hosting the IAAF Under-18 World Youth Championships in 2017.
Remember, you can watch us live on ntv.co.ke/live or on Facebook, Twitter and YouTube on the NTV Kenya handle. Our sign language interpreter tonight is Rafael Mbalo. Let's switch focus now from corruption, and police officers in Baragoi, Samburu County have arrested a woman who killed her 2-year-old son by slitting his throat with a knife in Kilepoi village, Samburu County. The woman, who wanted to take her own life, also attempted to kill her 7-year-old daughter, who is now fighting for her life in hospital.
The 7-year-old girl is wheeled into Samburu Referral Hospital's operating room. She's lucky to be alive after her own mother turned against her. The girl is nursing serious injuries on the neck after her mother tried to kill her. The shocking incident occurred at Kiplemoi village in Baragoi on Friday evening when a mother went berserk and tried to brutally end the life of her 2 children. First, she killed her 2-year-old son by slitting his throat. She then turned the knife on her 7-year-old daughter, but the girl escaped, but not without injuries. According to the father of the children, his wife had earlier told him that she was going to the forest to harvest aloe vera. When she didn't return home on time, he decided to follow her. He came across his little boy lying in a pool of blood.
Wakati alipomchinja huyo mama, alipomchinja huyo mtoto mwingine huko Kilepoi, alikuja miguu akachinja hata huyo mwingine akambeba akiwa amemchinja, kamatiwa jana Baragoi.
Samburu County Commandant of Police Alfred Agego said the woman was in police custody and will be taken to court on Monday. Rozongoi, NTV.
Also tonight, 2 families want justice for their daughters who they claim were defiled by people known to them. In Kitui, a family claims their 15-year-old daughter was defiled by a teacher at school and the case in court stalled. In Nairobi, a man who defiled his 2-year-old stepdaughter has since gone into hiding.
The girl, a standard 5 pupil at Kanguni Primary School, claims she was summoned by the school deputy head teacher one early morning alongside her 2 other siblings, supposedly to get a message from their father. She says she was then asked to stay behind.
Nikamwambia mwalimu, kwa nini mwalimu unanilalia? Venye nilimwambia hivyo akaniambia nitakuweka kidogo na nitakuweka kidogo. Kamwambia mwalimu, kwa nini unanifanya hivyo?
The deputy head teacher Jackson Muli was arrested but was later released on a cash bail without taking plea. The family also claims the case was never heard but was instead terminated. The deputy head teacher Jackson Muli was arrested but was later released on a cash bail without taking plea. The family also claims the case was never heard but was instead terminated.
Corruption kuna mahali itendeka. Maana faili kufikia jaji. Kutoka tarehe 16 kumenyamazwa.
Her father is calling upon the Directorate of Criminal Investigations to charge him afresh with defiling his daughter. In Nairobi, a woman is also seeking redress after her 2-year-old daughter was allegedly defiled by someone well known to the family.
Limuingiza kidole, time yake ikifika naye akamwaga hizo vitu hapo. Mpaka hata tukakosana na huyo mtu vibaya. Hata nilienda police station. Sasa wakunishughulikia wakuchukua hiyo maneno serious. Ndio hakuna, nilishughulikia peke yangu.
The mother points an accusing finger to the child's stepfather who has since gone into hiding.
Nikiamka hata kama ni 5, hata niamke tu niende choo, mtoto anaamka na mimi. Niamke tu bora tu asikie mamia yuko kando, anaamka na mimi. Sasa hapo ndio nilikuwa najaribu kujiuliza, na huyu mtoto She
says her daughter has since been scared by the incident and she had to move her from the house they have shared with the child's stepfather. Halima Gongo, NTV.
A family from Ingotse village in Navaholo constituency, Kakamega County, who lost 5 of their kinsmen in the fatal road crash at Fort Ternan has begun a series of burial ceremonies. The 5 were traveling to Kakamega to attend the burial of their grandmother, who was buried today. The family is expected to conduct a mass burial for the other 5.
Ingoste village has been struck by grief and death. Today's burial is just the beginning of a series of burial ceremonies in this homestead. First, the family of Rostana Munala lost their grandmother a few weeks ago. The family was preparing for one burial, but now it will have to prepare for 6 after tragedy struck again. The family lost 5 kinsmen in the Fort Ternan accident on Wednesday. Rostana Munala, his wife, 2 sons aged 2 and 4 years, and a nephew. The 5 were traveling from Nairobi to Kakamega to attend today's burial. Selina Lomen, their grandmother, was buried today in an emotional send-off attended by relatives and friends, but burial preparations for the other 5 are still underway. The bodies were transported from Kericho to Kakamega on Friday. A mass burial will be conducted for the 5.
Tuko hapa tuko na huzuni sana. Sisi tumepoteza shosh na ile familia ambayo watu 5 walikufa kwenye gari.
Mpaka na sasa tumeshinda kuelewa. Mtu kama mimi ujua hata ndo nimeingia jana kutoka Kericho tukaleta mimi Kakamega. Mpaka sasa sijakuwa na fahamu nzuri arjini nini mbaya ninaendelea.
Kakamega County had the highest number of casualties in the Kericho accident. So far, 40 bodies have been moved from Kericho to Kakamega. Rozongoi, NTV.
And as the families of the 56 people who died in the Londiani accident prepare to bury their kin, experts now warn that most public service vehicles on Kenyan roads have not adhered to set safety standards by the government. Silas Apollo went in a search of answers to some of these questions and filed the following report.
Just how safe is a public service vehicle which you use for your daily commute or for the occasional long-distance travel? Are vehicles on our roads capable of protecting passengers from harm's way in case of an accident? NTV was out and about in the city to get a feel of the public service vehicles and whether they were playing by the government safety rule book. But to our shock, some of those that we sampled would fail the test. Some of the matatus we filmed on the streets of Nairobi had their emergency exits either welded up, insulated by graffiti paint, or were sealed off by seats. Motoring experts say passengers are at a risk of getting trapped inside most of the public service vehicles in case of an accident.
The Kenya Bureau of Standards have a standard that they have given to all bodybuilders to follow in terms of maybe the structural work for the body, and this has to be approved. And most of the time you have to use the cut metals, but the standard of the weld is also very important, and the way it is secured onto the chassis, that is very important.
And just to give you a practical example of some of the international recommended standards, we took a tour of this bus here, which as you can see has seats that are firmly fixed on the floor. And that is just not all. If you take a look at some of the sitting spaces of these seats, there's enough room, even enough leg room for one to be able to sit comfortably and enjoy their ride. And that is just not all. If you look at the windows, for instance, the windows are large enough for one to escape in case of an accident. This bus here has a roof emergency exit, this one right here. And not just one, there's also another emergency exit at the front of the bus. Paul says that the blame should be on regulators who have turned a blind eye to some of the law breakers.
If a bus goes and gets registration without going through all those standards, because according to the standard, the regulator should look at the bus from the frame up all the way up to the finishing.
Master fabricators, designers of some of the long-distance buses on Kenyan roads, says that while fabricating your vehicle to the required standard may cost money, the end result is worthwhile.
We design bus frames and bus standards that are approved by an association called Kenya Association of Bus Manufacturers, which is affiliated with all the bus bodybuilders and the National Transport Safety Authority.
Silas Apollo, NTV.
A family in Kisii County is still mourning the death of a young man, Dennis Opanga, who is suspected to have been killed by his father following a protracted land dispute. Opanga, who was a primary school teacher at Tracer Academy in Kisii, was found dead this morning with a stick stuck on his head. His phone and house keys were still in his hands. When NTV visited their home at Gesinga Village, Keumbu in Kisii County, a service conducted by the local SDA church was ongoing in their compound. At their compound, relatives were still trying to come to grips with his brutal death, even as they called on police to investigate and bring the culprit to book.
Suspect ni babake, alikuwa anamtishia maisha, eti amechukua shamba yake, alikuwa anataka kuuza, lakini huyu kijana sasa anasuia asiuze hiyo shamba.
Ezra Chiloba becomes the second IEBC CEO to be sacked over procurement-related issues. Chiloba was shown the door after a year of a push and pull between him and the commissioners over his role in the procurement of key election material for the 2017 election. NTV's Brenda Wanga examines the past tumultuous year for the now former IEBC CEO.
It hasn't really been well for embattled IEBC's CEO Ezra Chiloba. His troubles coming down hard and fast in the wake of the fallout within the IEBC over the nullified presidential election result of 2017. The chairman of the commission says his dismissal, which took effect yesterday, was informed by, quote, his gross misconduct, breach and violation of the commission's human resource and administration policies. The sacking is a culmination of a series of events that began in August last year. In the run-up to the election, the CEO and his chairman locked heads in a tough war, with the CEO accused of undermining the authority of the chairman, a situation that saw Chiloba take leave just weeks to the repeat presidential election in October. But that was just the beginning of Chiloba's troubles. As the IEBC sought to clear its name over accusations of mishandling the elections, an internal audit put Chiloba squarely in the commission's crosshair over major procurement irregularities during the election. Amongst the tenders that head Chiloba put on his defense was the acquisition of the 2.4 billion shillings schemes kit from OT Mofo, the 270 million shillings tender for the commission's database, and the 350 million shillings tender for communication services and satellite phones for the transmission of results to the servers, amongst others.
If there's evidence, let us share, because it's an error of accountability. Hold the commission accountable, but let's also allow.
Those accountability issues formed the backbone of a protracted tussle between the two figureheads at the commission, a tussle that culminated in the commission sending the CEO on compulsory leave in April. The battle eventually landing the two protagonists in the Labour Court, where the scales of justice first swung in favor of the commission and the chairman, and next in Chiloba's favor. But still, Chiloba had been unable to access his former workplace. The latest straw, however, according to the commission's chairman, was Chiloba's refusal to appear before the commission's disciplinary committee to answer to accusations leveled against him. Wafula Chebukati says Chiloba has been asked to appear twice before the committee. On both occasions, he failed to honor the summons. The decision to fire him now sees him travel down a well-marked path.
Chiloba took over from James Oswago, who was hounded.
4 people have been killed in clashes involving 2 communities in Shur, Marsabit County. The attackers are believed to have thrown an explosive device into a manyatta, leading to the deaths. In the latest flare-up of intercommunal clashes in the expansive county, the Shur attack happened at around midnight, 5 hours after an earlier attack on Idido, where an unknown number of camels was stolen from 2 homesteads. The attacks happened shortly after a visit to the region by Inspector General of Police Joseph Boynet, where he called for peace and asked those with illegal guns to surrender them to the police. The government says it will conduct an operation to rid the area of illegally held firearms.
Security Intelligence Committee order any individual or groups that may be owning firearms illegally to surrender them within 7 days.
We take a short break now, but when we come back, we delve into the subject of Kenyans serving time in foreign countries. Thank you for staying with the Weekend Edition. Deputy President William Ruto says he has no time to engage in debate about whether the country should vote in a referendum to change the constitution. Speaking in Githunguri constituency at a fundraiser for the ACK St. Stephen's Kiambururu Church, and where he was accompanied by a number of Jubilee leaders, Ruto and other leaders said the debate will derail the country's development agenda.
Kuna watu wanasumbua mimi, wanataka kunilazimisha ati niingie mambo ya referendum. Mimi nimewaambia I am sorry. I am not available kwa mambo ya referendum. Niko busy. Kazi ya muhimu sana ambayo mimi nimelenga ni kuhakikisha ya kwamba we consolidate the legacy of President Uhuru Kenyatta by making sure the Big Four succeeds.
Tukiruse sight macho yetu ikiondoka na tuone mambo ingine ambao pengine iko na maana, mwishoe after 4 years now sisi ndio tutaulizwa.
We desist from all manner of politicking, including calls for a referendum to benefit a selfish few political conmen.
The Ministry of Foreign Affairs estimates that about 273 Kenyans may be serving jail time in foreign countries. But there are concerns the number could be more due to the many cases that go unreported. The families of those incarcerated say there has been little help from the foreign missions to help get those in trouble with the law get the legal help they need, especially in countries with weak or no proper criminal justice systems. Kevin Mutai has more.
Flamboyant politician and businessman Don Bosco finally walked to freedom after a 6-year detention in Tanzania.
When your freedom is curtailed, it's the small things in life that you'll miss.
The controversial politician had been in custody since 2013 for conspiracy and money laundering. While at Kisongo prison, he says he shared a cell with a good number of Kenyans.
Nilikuwa kwanza Dar es Salaam, inaitwa Keko prison, na Arusha prison. Kuna Wakenya wengi sana. Na nakuambia kwamba Mkenya kupata haki nchi ya Tanzania ni kitu kigumu sana. Serikali ya Kenya inafanya nini? Sikuna ubalozi hapo Dar es Salaam.
The Ministry of Foreign Affairs told Parliament's Defense and Foreign Relations Committee that about 273 Kenyans were serving prison terms in foreign jails. Tanzania has 79 prisoners, China 57, Uganda 47, Malaysia 25, South Sudan 10, Qatar 8, Thailand 7, Seychelles 6, Ethiopia and Indonesia 5, Philippines, Kuwait, Botswana and Pakistan have 3 each, while Togo, Oman and South Africa have 2 prisoners. But the government says it is working on bilateral agreements for possible prisoner swaps.
Our Ministry of Foreign Affairs is always keen to do what can be done so that the freedom of a Kenyan is secured.
Despite these assurances, there have been concerns that Kenyans incarcerated abroad may not be getting the help they need from the country's missions abroad.
That case has seen so many adjournments. That case has seen so many nolle prosecutions. More than 7 nolle prosecutions, whereby we are released and rearrested. Then the case starts all over again. Can you imagine all those 7 years the case has been there? We've only had a chance for hearing of 2 witnesses. 7 years. Is that a case?
It is a matter which we cannot give a blanket assurance. It is dealt with on a case-by-case basis.
Foreign Affairs Cabinet Secretary Monica Juma told the National Assembly's Defense and Foreign Affairs Committee a fortnight ago that missions abroad have been directed to engage Kenyans regularly to help them avoid running into trouble with the law. Kevin Mutai, NTV, Mombasa.
Another short break, but coming up, a trip down Mandera's highway of terror where Al-Shabaab operates at will. Our special feature airs right after this.
NTV Weekend Edition with Olive Burrows.
Thank you for staying with the NTV Weekend Edition. Mandera County has been hit hard by terror attacks in the past 7 years, with Lafay sub-county bearing the brunt. The insecurity has affected the once busy and preferred Mandera-Lafay Highway, a 115-kilometer stretch connecting the two towns, and that has now been rendered impassable as Al-Shabaab militants carry out attacks at will along this road. NTV's Ahmed Maulid tells us more about Terra's Highway and how it has affected businesses and daily life in Mandera.
The Mandera-Lafay Highway Road was once the favorite and safe for long-distance truck and bus drivers plying Mandera-Nairobi route. All that has changed. The road has become impassable in the last 3 years due to insecurity. Al-Shabaab militants have been carrying out attacks along this road almost at will.
Kama sasa jeshi, polisi, ama KBR ambaye ni locals wanagoba kutumia barabara hii mpaka Mandera. Je, wananchi wanakuaje?
The grim list of victims include 28 teachers butchered back in 2014. Wreckage from the previous roadside blast litters the road. This wreckage belonged to Governor Ali Roba's security team. Their vehicle was hit by an IED in mid-2017 in the run-up to the general elections. We stumbled upon several litter craters occasioned by IEDs, a reminder of the danger this stretch of road holds for unsuspecting users. Since 2015, more than 15 people have been killed and dozens and others injured after several public and security vehicles they were traveling in were struck by IEDs along this road. Of late, the militant target privately owned vehicles such as Toyota Land Cruisers and pickups because they can be used in compact. Even the Mirage vehicles are not spared. Since 2014, a total of more than 10 vehicles, including 5 Mirage vehicles, were hijacked by suspected Al-Shabaab militants along this road. This bus is among the only few commercial vehicles that are safe to ply this dangerous road. Civil servants traveling on this road are forced to use alternative long-distance routes or hide their identity if they decide to use this road. In 2016, the government officially banned the use of this road, but that hasn't stopped drivers from using it.
Hii ni dakika kidogo kufika, masaa kidogo kufika mahali tunaenda. Kile nyingine ni mrefu.
Insecurity along this road has affected local leaders, including the MCA for Lafay, Finno, Alungu and Arabia wards.
As the local leaders from the area, we cannot visit our wards. We are forced to sneak in during the night incognito and then sneak out due to fear of attacks.
The area member of parliament has been particularly affected as he is cut off from his constituency.
They have to take me enough security to take me to Lafay and to the village. You have to pay their fuel. Helicopter is expensive. It's about $1.5 million and it can only take 3 or 4 people.
Towns along this road have borne the brunt of Al-Shabaab attacks in the past years. They overran Finno police station in March this year, killing 6 officers and seriously injuring 3 others. During the attack, the militant destroyed the only Safaricom communication mast in the area.
The one in Damasa, the one in Finno, the one in Arabia, the one in... all these have been destroyed.
3 days to the 2017 general elections, suspected Al-Shabaab militants attacked 2 Lafay police camps. The militants touched 3 police cars, government officers, and escaped with 1 car during the attack. The militants had attacked Arabia police camp in the month of February 2017 and made away with 4 PVR kits and 1 car. The proximity of these areas to the lawless Somalia border has made them easy target for the militants.
Our closeness to the border is a factor which is enabling these people to get an opportunity to attack mostly government installations. Mostly Lafay is very close, it's about 8 kilometers from the border.
Locals say government officials do not pay attention when they need to be doing so.
Sisi tunaleta ripoti kila siku, hakuna mtu anaendea.
When the sun goes down, death and danger lurks in the darkness, prompting security officials to up their guard. The frequent attacks by Al-Shabaab have hit the locals in these towns hard.
This has led to collapse of many businesses. People have incurred a lot of losses because of insecurity.
On the 10th of October 2018, a group of suspected Al-Shabaab militants attacked Arabia Boys Secondary School at around 1 a.m. and sprayed a room that accommodated 4 non-local teachers with bullets. 2 of the teachers died, 2 managed to flee.
So when they tried to open,
yes,
he had locked me.
Yes.
So ikabidi wache.
These, the latest in a series of a similar attack. The insecurity has brought the education sector in this area to its knees. And local teachers moved out in droves from the area for fear of becoming the next victim. We were informed this school has 4 TAC employed teachers supported by 4 others employed by the school.
It was 260 girls who were in this school, but this one has dwindled up to 68 girls as per now, because also the teachers have left. Then if there is no teacher, then there is no school.
Arabia Boys Secondary School has similarly suffered. Enrollment has dropped from 450 to 300 in a period of 1.5 years. The school has a demand of 19 teachers, but only 7 TAC employed teachers are available. The education sectors in Lafey sub-county is not doing any better. The health sector in this border region is sick. This health facility in Arabia has only 2 nurses stationed here, following transfer of non-locals. During the night, health workers are forced to attend to patients in their homes.
You have to carry your own things at your own risk and walk some kilometers.
Transfer of patients, special referral cases, is a risk undertaking here.
When we want to refer patients to Mandera County referral to, the ambulance normally takes time. You have to use a longer route.
The situation in Lafey Sub-County Hospital is no different. The hospital is understaffed following a mass exodus of non-local medical staff. The hospital sometimes remain unattended during the night due to insecurity. Several development projects have ground to a halt.
The national government through KERA has awarded a tender of 3.2 billion shillings to construct Mandera Finno Lafey Road. But unfortunately, work has not started.
The insecurity has also hindered access to the area by humanitarian organizations. NGOs have relocated to several areas.
There are many NGOs that are working in the other part of Kenya, which is Banisa, Takaba, Mandera Town, the NGOs who are doing many work there and who are willing to come to Lafey, but they fear they can't come.
The insecurity along this area has created suspicion and hatred among communities living in these border areas and their counterparts in Somalia. When Al-Shabaab militants carry out attacks along this area, the community here blame the community across the border of colluding with the militants to create havoc. On the other hand, when Kenyan security forces pursue Al-Shabaab inside Somalia and there are civilian casualties, those on the Somalia side accuse communities living on the Kenyan side of colluding with the Kenyan security. Recently, 2 men from Lafey were killed in Elwak, Somalia, in revenge after Kenyan security forces conducted raids inside Somalia. To improve the security in the area, the government has started several initiatives to end the runaway insecurity. They have deployed several contingents, including KDF, Kenyan Police Border Patrol Unit, and special forces in Finno, Damasa, and Shakbaro to combat the militants.
This is one way in which we want to stop the infiltration of these people.
Leaders and residents say it is not enough and are demanding more action to enable a return to normalcy.
Arabia Lafey Road was a no-go zone for the past 3 years, and it's likely to continue the same in the next days, months, or even years to come, should the situation remain the same. Ahmed Abdi, NTV, Finno, Mandera County.
Let us know your thoughts on that feature by Ahmed Maulid. Send your thoughts to @NTV Kenya, that is on Twitter or Facebook, or include your comments in the comment section of our YouTube channel. The death toll from the mudslides in Uganda has risen to 47. The search mission is still underway and the government has joined in the cleanup operation to allow relief reach the affected people after heavy rain caused River Sume to burst its banks. Solomon Kawesa has more.
A bird's eye view of the devastation in some of the villages through which the waters of River Sume swept when it burst its banks on Thursday following a heavy downpour. The resulting mudslide claimed several lives. Part of the land occupied by homes and plantations are now filled with debris. The mood is somber among the locals who are still searching through the wet rubble for bodies of their loved ones. Some of those who are found have been buried. The local leaders told NTV that they discovered 7 more bodies, which brings the death toll to 47. However, police insist that it stands at 42.
Since yesterday, within this area, we have rescued around 5 dead bodies. Yesterday and today morning, we rescued 2, but we still have very many people, our dear ones, who are still missing.
UPDF officers and police have also joined the search and rescue mission, aiding the injured to hospital. Uganda National Roads Authority is helping clear roads to enable relief reach the affected communities. State Minister for Environment Goret Kitutu is in the area.
People down here don't know what is happening in the national park, but there is a dam which has been created. Now with the time, water will, or a lake or like a pond, forms ahead of the dam and normally breaks. Now when it breaks, that's when you get a scenario like this.
Kitutu, however, blames the locals who have built houses along the river bank.
This is a new risk that we are seeing. So trading centers in valleys or where we have rivers, we need to have people at least 500 meters away.
They promised people to be moved to Kulambuli district. There's land which OPM bought. The land is idle. To date, nothing has happened. They said they were going to put schools, health centers. They have not done anything.
Some of those who are gravely affected say government has done little to ensure that they receive relief like food and beddings. Solomon Kawesa, NTV Bududa District.
Time to grab a glass of water, but on the other side of the break, women from pastoral communities in Samburu and Isiolo make their voices heard in an area scarred by strife. Thank you for staying with us. When conflict, mainly fueled by cattle rustling and the battle for natural resources, rages among neighboring pastoralist communities in Isiolo and Samburu counties, culture relegates women to silence. All the while, they and their children suffer the most when the men go to war. Reality only dawns on them when some of their husbands and sons die at war. Melita Oletenges reports on hundreds of women from these pastoralist communities who have now come together to change the narrative by being the vehicles of peace.
A peace march across the Ewasonyiro River from Isiolo County to Samburu County. These women have long been denied the freedom of movement across territories by the constant animosity between their communities. For years now, the Turkana, Samburu, Somalis, Boranas and Rendiles have been at loggerheads, going at each other for natural resources. A battle that has snatched lives, with women and children being the most exposed to suffering.
Wamama ni chombo muhimu sana kutumika kwa amani, ingawaje wameachwa kwa muda mrefu bila kuhusishwa kwa amani kwa sababu ya mila na tamaduni zetu kama wafugaji.
Wale wanapigana kwa vita ni vijana yao na bwana zao. So akina mama wangekuwa kwa front line ya peace.
They now sit side by side. Previously, they could not see eye to eye, but they realized that they play a crucial role in a cycle of malignant conflicts in the north by being custodians of key information divulged by their husbands. They have chosen to break the shackles and instead be the ears, eyes and voice of reason in the pursuit of peace.
Wanawake wanakuanga na taarifa ya watu wakati wanaenda kupigana, wanakuwa na intelligence, na they will be useful and good weapons to use them in preventing conflict.
For many years now, these women from the pastoralist communities have been receiving the raw end of the stick, sitting in the sidelines. But aware of the positive change they would make, they are now changing the narrative, creating a peaceful environment for the warring communities.
Kama hiyo hawezi kukusaidia, ama mama anasema usiniwache mimi, sasa wewe ndio nakutegemea, hata ukipata mali ya mtu ikusaidii. Kusema kweli, hivi majuzi hatujawahi kuwa na mpangilio wa kuhusisha kina mama, lakini kwa kuwa ukiangalia hata ukisikiza vile wanazungumza, ni huenda ikawa ni kitu tutakuwa kifanya periodically.
Many people, including police officers, have died just this year as a result of conflicts between the Samburu and Turkana herders. Efforts by women from the 5 tribes to salvage the situation is deemed as a vital role in uniting the communities, especially in the lean times when resources such as water and pasture are hard to come by. Melita Oletenges, NTV, Samburu County.
Don't forget you can share your thoughts on that report by Melita Oletenges on NTV Kenya handle, that is on Twitter, Facebook and also on YouTube. In our international roundup, Ivory Coast goes to the polls for the regional and municipal elections. In Indonesia, at least 22 people have died and many others are missing after heavy rain unleashed flash floods and landslides in western Indonesia.
Voting for regional and municipal elections have begun in Ivory Coast. Ivorian president voted in local and regional elections. After more than a decade of allies, 2 of Ivorian Coast's largest political parties face off in local elections today after an acrimonious divorce that is making Ivorian nervous ahead of presidential poll in 2020. At least 22 people have died and many others are missing after heavy rains unleashed flash floods and landslides in western Indonesia. The heavy downpour since Wednesday has triggered flooding and landslides that hit.
It is time to play. Welcome to NTV Sport. I am Warote Kirwani. It doesn't get any bigger than this. Depending on the outcome of the changing Group F dynamics, the national football team Harambee Stars could qualify for the Africa Cup of Nations for the first time in 15 years with a win over Ethiopia tomorrow at the Kasarani Stadium. And as Ida Waringa reports, Kenyans can dare to dream of making the trip to Cameroon 2019.
Harambee Stars players have a date with destiny when they play Ethiopia at the Kasarani Stadium Sunday afternoon in an AFCON 2019 qualifier, seeking to have their fate in their own hands.
A very big one, and we are aware of that, so we'll fight to the end and see what will happen.
With a FIFA-imposed suspension on Sierra Leone still unresolved, Kenya tops the Group F standings on 4 points, 1 ahead of Ghana and 3 ahead of Ethiopia. A reversal on the ban on Sierra Leone could, however, change the dynamics in this group.
Leone, if they come back, they rectify the situation, and they come back, they'll play us in November, and they will only have one more game to play. So it means that in that eventually that Sierra Leone comes back, we only need a point against them.
This means that Kenya will have to forget the boardroom decisions and focus on beating the Walia Antelopes to ensure they put themselves in good stead to play at AFCON for the first time in 15 years. On their part, Ethiopia, who fell to the ground Saturday afternoon, reckon it's a do-or-die encounter.
It's very important in the sense that this is a match that brings Ethiopia to face the rest of the world as well.
The government, through Sports Minister Rashid Echesa, waived the gate charges while numerous political leaders have chipped in with logistical assistance for fans, all with the aim of filling the 60,000-seater Kasarani Stadium. Gates will be opened at 9 a.m. with security enhanced.
It is indeed all to play for. Many will be hoping that it will be a win for the Harambee Stars. Reporting for NTV, my name is Ida Waringa here in Nairobi.
And tickets are on a first-come, first-served basis. So if you're making plans to go to Kasarani tomorrow, 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock would be the best time to get there. And remember, safety first. So maybe just don't carry a very fancy phone, just in case. And Western Stima have won the National Super League 2018 title after beating Talanta 3-2. Meanwhile, KCB finished second, while Ushuru bagged the all-important third place that grants them a chance at KPL football next season. Focus on the final day of the second division league was on Nairobi Stima and Ushuru, who started the day separated just by goal difference. But it was a horror show for Nairobi Stima, who began third but finished fourth after being thrashed 4-1 by KCB at the Camp Toyo grounds. This led to head coach Ibrahim Shikanda quitting. The highlight of the game was a scorpion kick stunner from Jacob Kelly. On their part, Ushuru secured third place with a 1-1 draw against Bidco. The Taxmen will meet Nakumatt FC in a two-legged KPL promotion playoff. Meanwhile, Migori Youth survived relegation after a draw with GFE 105 that saw GFE bundled out of the second tier Kenyan Football League. This will be alongside Nakuru All Stars. And we'll be looking to see whether Ushuru will finally break their jinx in playoff football. And into athletics, and World Under-20 10,000 meters champions Ronfex Kipruto and Sandra Phyllis Chebet defended their titles in the 10-kilometer and 8-kilometer races during the 10th edition of the Isaiah Kiplagat Foundation Ndalat Ga cross country in Nandi County. Kipruto led from start to clock 30 minutes 52.4 seconds ahead of Abraham Kiptum and Julius Taki. In the ladies category, Chebet ran a brilliant race behind the newly crowned Chemususu half marathon winner Delvin Meringo before outpacing her in the final stretch to win in 27 minutes 53.8 seconds. In the juniors category, World Under-20 champion in 5,000 meters Beatrice Chebet was victorious, as was Bravin Kosgei.
And I prepare for World Cross next year.
Mountain ya World Cross country. Na tunaomba Mungu atupe nguvu na afya njema ili tutashinda tutrain kama tunasikia mwili iko poa.
And on to motorsport, and Carl Flash Tundo, and who's navigated by Team Jessop, won the 2018 Kenya National Rally Championship following a dramatic victory at the Eldoret Rally on Saturday. Tundo finished just 3 seconds ahead of second-placed Baldev Chaga with Tejvi Rai third. Amajar Rai was fourth with Eric Bengi fifth, while motorsports legend Ian Duncan finished 11th. Flash garnered an unassailable total of 163 points with one event left, with Baldev second with 134 points. It is now an incredible 4 national championship and 5 safari rally victories for Tundo. The final event of the season is a Guru Nanak rally in November.
It's been a hard fight, and this season's just gone well. The team have done a fantastic job. We've finished every event and seem to come out on top quite a few times. So yeah, really chuffed with the performance.
And Impala came out top of the Ngongro Derby, and they will face Strathmore, while Homeboys face KCB in the semi-finals of the Impala Floodlit tournament that is sponsored by Safaricom under their Blaze platform. This follows quarter-final matches played today at the Impala grounds. Menengai Cream Homeboys overcame Nakuru RFC 37-30 with Joseph Amalemba, Mohamed Amolo and Stanley Isgol crossing over for the DJs, with Ivin Asena kicking over 17 points. Nondis, who trailed 23-6 at the break, will rue a last-minute conversion miss as they lost 25-23 to Strathmore Leos. Meanwhile, KCB are on course to defend their title after seeing off Mwamba 25-10. And that final match was played under heavy downpour that is rocking Nairobi currently. And Nation Media Group will seek to use the Nation Classic Golf Series to grow the sport among the youth. This was a declaration of the NMG chairman, Wilfred Kiboro, at the Vet Lab Sports Club as 207 players competed in the final round of the series. The Nation Media Group sponsored series celebrated its 33rd anniversary this year, and Vet Lab is a climax of 4 other events held in Nakuru, Nyahururu, Mombasa and Kisumu. The huge field included guests and staff of Nation Media Group. Those who excelled during the day are currently being fitted at the clubhouse during the dinner.
Expands, I think what we want to do is that we'll continue with the series right across the country, and we'll also try to play and sponsor golf in clubs that are really struggling, and we want to demystify and tell the people, particularly in the counties, because we are trying to push that agenda for every county to actually have a golf course.
Taking golf to the counties, and that is quite a noble cause, and that was the Nation Media Group chairman Wilfred Kiboro. And former France striker Thierry Henry has gotten his first coaching job, and he is set to head Ligue 1 club Monaco on a 3-year deal to replace sacked Leonardo Jardim. Henry, who started out playing for Monaco and went on to enjoy.
On the program to the very end, Warode winds up our bulletin tonight with that sports update. Just let's look at a few of your responses to the stories we aired tonight. We have Eric Fahim responding to that story on the charges facing the former sports CS Hassan Wario. He says, "We know the drill. Nothing will be done to them. Impunity at its best." Mwiruri Michael says, wacha kila mtu abebe msalaba wake, washikwe na wafunguliwe mashtaka. On our special feature tonight, we also have several responses. And we have, just 1 second, let me fetch that. Yes, we have Maxwell Odhiambo, who says tarmac all those roads to sort out the IED problem. And of course, there was that story on Deputy President William Ruto saying he has no time to squabble over the referendum issue. And we have Newton Ingati, who says that's great. Others have that time. And finally, a response to a story on Kenyans in foreign jails. We have Miss Mudho, who says, I fault our government for this. Those Kenyans should be extradited and tried at home. Other governments do that, and the citizen sovereignty should be a priority. As always, we look forward to getting your messages, getting your response and feedback to our stories. The handle again is at NTV Kenya, or you could always send us a text message on 20686. My name is Olive Burrows, and thank you to the entire team who made the NTV Weekend Edition possible, including our sign language interpreter.